fear rarely arrives loudly. Most of the time, it begins as a whisper, a small doubt, a quiet hesitation. But when left unanswered, that whisper grows into something powerful, something terrifying. In life, we often run from our problems, hoping they will disappear on their own. But the truth is simple. What we avoid doesn't fade away. It grows, it echoes, and one day, it stands in front of us, much bigger than it ever needed to be. Today's story is not about strength. It's not about size. And it's not about power. It's about courage, the kind that dares to step forward when everyone else steps back. This is the story of a gentle deer, a dark cave, and a fear that ruled an entire forest. Listen closely because this story might be about you. The forest woke slowly that morning as sunlight slipped through tall trees, touching the ground in golden patches, while birds called to one another, and the wind whispered softly through the leaves, making everything feel calm, safe, and familiar. Near the edge of this forest, where shadows lingered longer and trees grew thick, lived a young deer, in a wide, rocky cave beneath an old hillside, a simple home, not grand or powerful, but safe. Throughout the forest, he was known for his gentle nature, never the strongest or fastest, yet always staying close to the frightened and guiding the lost, earning the trust of many animals. Though his days were simple as he grazed on grass, nibbled leaves, and drank from the clear river, they never fully satisfied the quiet longing inside him for something rare, special, and different. And that morning hunger pushed him farther than usual until his eyes caught something bright near the water's edge. A small patch of sweet fruit hidden between stones and roots, fresh and untouched, making his heart leap at the rare sight as he carefully gathered it and decided to take it back to enjoy in peace. But joy made him careless, and lost in thought, he stepped onto a slippery stone, his hoofs sliding as his body lurched forward, and for a terrifying second the roaring river pulled at him, forcing him to jump back just in time while the fruit slipped from his grasp and fell into the water. And though he ran along the riverbank in panic, hoping the current might slow, the river showed no mercy, carrying the fruit away toward a roaring waterfall where it vanished, leaving the deer breathless, weak, hungry, tired, and disappointed as he turned back toward his cave, longing only for rest, safety, and silence. Yet, as he approached the entrance, something felt wrong. The air was cold, too quiet, and the cave that once felt like home now felt unfamiliar, making his heart pound as he slowly called out, Is someone inside? And when no answer came, he swallowed his fear and called again louder, only for a deep voice to explode from within, shaking the stone walls as it declared, I am the one who breaks the bones of rhinos. I crush elephants into dust, freezing the deer in terror as his legs trembled and his breath caught, realizing his home was no longer safe and whatever lived inside that cave had claimed it, leaving the forest on the edge of fear, uncertain whether a powerful monster truly lurked there, or if something far more misunderstood was about to change everything. The deer stood frozen outside his cave, the voice still echoed in his mind, deep, heavy, and terrifying. Every instinct told him to run, but if he ran, he would lose everything, his home, his safety, his place in the forest. With trembling legs, the deer stepped back into the trees. He needed help. As he moved through the forest, panic spread quickly. The animals sensed something was wrong. Whispers traveled faster than footsteps. Soon, a wolf appeared on the path ahead. The wolf walked with confidence. His head was high, his eyes were sharp. He was feared by many and proud of it. Seeing him, the deer felt a spark of hope. Please, the deer said, bowing his head, my cave has been taken. Something terrifying is inside. The wolf smirked. A voice frightened you? He asked. I rule this forest. Nothing hides from me. Without hesitation, the wolf followed the deer back to the cave. He stood at the entrance and growled low and loud. The sound rolled through the trees like thunder. For a moment, there was silence. Then the voice returned, deeper than before. I shatter the strong. I turn giants into dust. Leave now, or be destroyed. The wolf's body stiffened. His ears flattened. His confidence vanished. Without another word, he turned and ran into the forest, disappearing between the trees. The deer's heart sank. Before fear could swallow him completely, another presence approached. Heavy footsteps, powerful breathing. A tiger emerged from the shadows. I heard what happened, the tiger said. You have helped others before. I will help you now. The deer watched as the tiger walked toward the cave, muscles tense, teeth bared. The tiger roared with all his might. The forest shook. But the cave answered again with the same terrifying voice. I fear no roar. I crush elephants. You are nothing. The tiger froze. His roar felt small. His strength felt useless. In a blink, he turned and vanished into the forest. Fear spread like fire. A furious rhino charged forward next, stomping the ground. But when the voice mocked his strength, even the rhino turned pale and fled. Finally, the largest of all arrived, the elephant. The deer's heart filled with hope. If anyone could face this, it was him. The elephant stood tall before the cave. But when the voice thundered once more, even the mighty giant's courage broke. For the first time ever, the deer saw an elephant run. Silence followed. The forest stood still. The deer lowered his head, defeated. If the strongest had failed, what hope was left? Then, from near the river, came a soft sound. Hop! A small frog appeared. I can help, the frog said calmly. The deer stared in disbelief. A frog? When the strongest creatures ran from fear, could the smallest one reveal the truth? Or would this be the forest's final mistake? The deer looked down at the frog, unsure whether to feel hope or worry. You don't understand, the deer said softly. That voice scared everyone. The wolf ran. The tiger ran. Even the elephant ran. The frog smiled, calm and unshaken. Maybe, the frog replied, but fear sounds louder when no one walks toward it. Those words echoed deeper than the voice from the cave, hidden behind trees and rocks. The powerful animals had not gone far. The wolf, the tiger, the rhino, and the elephant all watched from a distance. None of them wanted to admit it, but curiosity held them there. They wanted to know what truly lived inside that cave. The frog hopped forward. The cave loomed before him, dark and silent. Each step felt heavier than the last. But the frog didn't stop. He called out, "Who is inside?" The voice returned instantly, shaking the cave walls. "I am the destroyer of the mighty. Leave now, or be crushed." The deer felt his heart race. This was the moment everyone else had run. But the frog didn't retreat. Instead, he moved closer. "Come out," the frog said firmly. "Face me." For the first time, something changed. Inside the cave, silence followed. The creature within trembled. The echo that once made it sound powerful now betrayed it. The frog's small body cast a long shadow on the cave wall, making him appear far larger than he truly was. The voice spoke again, but this time, it shook. Stay back. Slowly, cautiously, something began to crawl out of the darkness. The forest held its breath. The deer stepped forward, eyes wide. The watching animals leaned closer, unable to believe what they were seeing. It wasn't a monster. It wasn't a beast. It wasn't powerful at all. Crawling out of the cave was a tiny caterpillar, small, shaking, harmless. For a moment, no one spoke. Then realization struck. The cave's echo had turned a weak voice into something terrifying. Fear had filled in the rest. The strength of the animals didn't matter, because none of them had stayed long enough to see the truth. Laughter broke the silence. Not cruel laughter, but relieved laughter. The caterpillar curled up, embarrassed and frightened, while the animals shook their heads in disbelief. The deer felt something lift from his chest. Fear had stolen his home, but courage had brought it back. The frog turned to the deer and smiled. "Sometimes," he said, "the loudest fears are the smallest problems we refuse to face." The deer looked at his cave, now peaceful, now quiet. He finally stepped inside again. If fear can turn something tiny into terror, what is fear doing inside your own life right now? The final part reveals the lesson we often ignore. Slowly, the forest began to breathe again. Birds returned to their songs. Leaves whispered once more in the wind. The heavy silence that had ruled the forest was finally broken. The cave stood quiet. No echoes, no threats, no fear. The deer remained still at the entrance, staring into the darkness that had terrified him only moments before. His legs no longer trembled. His heart no longer raced. The cave hadn't changed at all, but he had. He stepped inside. The stone walls were familiar. The air was calm. This was the same place he had once called home, and the same place fear had almost stolen from him forever. That realization hit harder than any roar. Fear had not lived in the cave. Fear had lived in the mind. Behind him, the powerful animals gathered in silence. The wolf avoided eye contact. The tiger stood stiff, ashamed. Even the elephant, the mightiest of all, lowered his head. They had trusted strength. They had trusted size. But none of that had mattered when fear appeared. The small frog hopped forward and rested on a stone. Fear grows when we refuse to face it, the frog said calmly. When we run, it becomes louder. When we look at it closely, it shrinks. The deer understood now. The caterpillar had never been dangerous. It had only been hiding. The echo inside the cave had done the rest. A small, harmless problem had been allowed to grow into a terrifying story because no one stayed long enough to question it. This is how fear works in life. A small worry becomes anxiety. A small delay becomes a missed opportunity. A small doubt becomes a lifetime of regret, not because the problem is powerful, but because we avoid it. The deer thought about the fruit he had lost earlier that day. Hunger had weakened him. Weakness had made him hesitate, and hesitation had allowed fear to take control. But now, standing here, he felt stronger than ever before. Not stronger in body, stronger in mind. He turned to the frog and bowed his head. You didn't fight the fear, the deer said. You exposed it. The frog smiled. That's all courage ever does. The forest slowly returned to normal. Animals went back to their paths. Life moved forward. And the deer stepped fully into his cave, not as someone protected by strength, but as someone guided by courage. Because courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is the decision to face it anyway. Now ask yourself this: what fear have you been avoiding? What problem have you allowed to grow louder in your mind? Face it today. Question it. Step toward it. Because the fear controlling your life might be smaller than you think. If this story made you think, like this video. If it reminded you of your own fears, comment your thoughts below. And if you want more powerful stories that change the way you think, subscribe and stay with us. Your courage starts now.